I'm sitting at the editing station working on the next RetroBlasting video, and suddenly my social media feeds start blowing up. People start saying, Michael, have you seen the Hollywood Reporter article? Have you seen the Hollywood Reporter article? I'm like, no, I haven't seen it. What's going on? Well, they're making a new G.I. Joe movie, and it's going to be all about Chuckles. And I paused. That actually left me speechless. And they were all telling me this because, 7 years ago or whatever it was, 6-7 years ago, we had done a video where I created this entire fake director talking about making Chuckles the movie.
But there was a side character called Chuckles that I became fascinated by. I knew Chuckles would be the central character for my G.I. Joe film.
And how the studio took it away from him and just turned it into a Bond film.
How come we've never heard about this?
Because Daniel Craig was not James Bond at that time, but he was perfect for the role of Chuckles. He had a perfect look, blonde hair, muscular build, a blunt bruiser expression.
And then I talked about, as a joke, the whole conspiracy that Snake Eyes and Chuckles might be the same character. It was a joke.
Chuckles is described as a master at faking his own death. In one of Larry Hama's original comics, we see Snake Eyes fake his own death in a minefield explosion. Throughout the comic, Snake Eyes is depicted as having blonde hair, and in this issue, he is wearing the kind of Hawaiian pattern shirt that looks like something Chuckles would wear. My film would have asked the question, are Chuckles and Snake Eyes the same man?
It was a joke. It's a stupid, stupid idea. But that's where we are with Hollywood these days. Is they just latch on to really bad ideas because they don't understand the properties that they're working on. And look, I'm not saying that it's a guarantee that, Hollywood stole Paramount Pictures, is ripping off my idea for Chuckles the movie. First of all, it's not a good idea. It was a joke, okay? It's for laughs, or it's for yucks. I mean, it's not a great idea. But also the fact that Chuckles is hardly a top-tier G.I. Joe. He's not even a second-tier G.I. Joe. Chuckles is a character that had no lines in his one animated appearance. Yeah, he was in the comic book, but Hollywood doesn't seem to be using the comic book in the broad strokes for the direction of their filmed versions of G.I. Joe, which we both know are pretty subpar at this point. And yes, they're trying to reboot G.I. Joe with a standalone Snake Eyes film. That's not surprising. I certainly wouldn't be making this video. If I'd come out 6 years ago and said, they're ripping off my idea to make a G.I. Joe movie all about Snake Eyes. Well, guess what? Snake Eyes is the most famous character in G.I. Joe. Of course, any fool could figure out that you need to make a movie out of him. Saying you're going to make a movie about Chuckles, though, it starts to get real narrow as to why Hollywood would zero in on that. And these two writers, Applebaum and Nemec, I guess they wrote Ghost Protocol. I can visualize it in my head. Like they were trolling around on YouTube and they found probably the clip of our G.I. Joe panel from DragonCon in 2017 where we rechronicled this zany theory about Chuckles and then played the Daniel Craig clip with the G.I. Joe audio over it. I noticed that somebody on the production team must have loved Chuckles because Daniel Craig is a muscular blonde guy wearing a Hawaiian print shirt and green cargo pants with a pistol, and the whole opening scene of the movie, I can't get plugged in because I'm thinking it's Chuckles the movie. The audience erupts with applause and all that, and they see that and they go, money. Like they probably thought, oh, this is a great idea. That's if they saw my stupid joke and thought it was a real viable thing, that's where they would have gotten it. And then they show it to some, executive, pencil pushers in some boardroom. They show them that clip or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, the audience looks really excited about this. The Chuckles must be like a great character. I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but I mean, nobody in their right mind zeroes in on Chuckles in Hollywood by default. Nobody. So, you think about how the Hollywood Reporter called this out, and all the headlines are saying Chuckles focused G.I. Joe movie, and then there's this little line buried in the article that says, Chuckles is not the focus of the movie, but that could change in development. And it's like, well, if Chuckles is not the focus of this movie, why did they mention it at all when they went out to the press to circulate this story? Okay? Clearly, Chuckles is more important to this movie than they're ham-fistedly trying to let on, even as they let the cat out of the bag. And who does that? Who makes a video, who makes a movie about Chuckles? I have to believe that somewhere along the way, somebody watched our stuff. And this isn't the first time that somebody has made that theory. Our good friend Matthew Kearns, after The Last Jedi came out back in 2018, he had gone to see it, and I hadn't gone to the theater to see it. I waited for it, as you know. And he went to see the movie, and he did this comparison video where he was like, oh my God, Michael, somebody has been watching RetroBlasting, because he did a comparison of my early Star Wars Follies video talking about all the accessories and the sticks, the Return of the Jedi sticks video. I think that was the one. And it's the one where I do the gag where I hold up the lightsaber, I turn it on, and then I throw it over my shoulder. And he did the clips back to back.
In red, blue, green, or yellow, then it's a lightsaber. So to be clear, if it's one of those or one of those, it's one of these.
And at the time that I did that, I did that because it was sort of like a meta joke, because anytime a non-official Star Wars person, like a fan or somebody, was making a video on YouTube and putting lightsabers in it, it was always because it was like a fan film, or it was being treated very reverently. Lightsaber was this legendary weapon, and it was the icon of Star Wars and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it'd be really funny to just have that icon as an actual prop come up, and I don't even look at it, and I turn it on and the effect is there, and then without even giving it a moment's notice, I just throw it over my shoulder. And the scene in Last Jedi is it's uncannily similar in that respect, but completely mishandled, because that kind of irreverence is just fine if you're doing a silly YouTube video ragging on Kenner accessories. But if you're doing an actual scene with Luke Skywalker, maybe you miscalculated that one a little bit. Maybe you might want to give it a little more dignity. That's not the right way to subvert expectations. And so I just see this Chuckles thing. When they were telling me about it, Russ and Matthew and a bunch of other people, Owen, they were all like, Michael, they're ripping you off. And I'm like, well, I mean, they're not ripping me off because I was never serious about it. If they're going down this route, go with God, because it's a joke. Like, the thing is a joke, and I can't believe that Applebaum and Nemec, whoever those guys are coming up with this. Okay, well, yeah, so Chuckles the movie is actually going to become a thing. I wonder what else from RetroBlasting is going to become a thing at some point. I wasn't trying to predict this. I didn't want this, but here it is. So, hope you guys are having a good weekend. We'll be having a live stream tomorrow, and I've got a new video coming out on Sunday. So we'll see you on both of those. Talk to you later.